Hey y'all, today I'm going to be covering every single book I read this summer. I know technically summer's not over yet, but I wanted to do a monthly reading wrap up a little while ago. But since I just started this book channel, I thought it would be better just to do a full summer reading wrap up and then hopefully start reading wrap ups monthly in the future. I feel like that'd be fun. So the first book that I read this summer was The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. He is the same author who wrote the book Coraline. I really enjoyed it. I read it on the Kindle. It is a magical realism book. It is about a man who revisits his childhood home. Along with it, he revisits childhood memories he had. I like that it was the type of book where you can't really fully distinguish what's real or what's not. It had a really cool perspective of events and different things that happened that an adult would be able to understand and process, but you're seeing it through the eyes of a child. It was just very, very fascinating. The blend of what's real, what's not real, what's fantasy, what's reality. It was really fun. I gave this one a 4 stars. Very good, highly recommend it. The next book I read was Stolen Songbird by Danielle Jensen. So Danielle Jensen wrote one of my favorite books of all time, my favorite 2 books of all time, The Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen. Love them. So I wanted to read some of her earlier work. So I went into this book with kind of high expectations, but I knew, okay, this is like her earlier work. Let's just see. And it was good, but it wasn't great. I gave it a 3.5 stars. This is a young adult fantasy romance book. It is about a girl who gets kidnapped and taken to like a troll world, but they're not trolls in the sense you would think. It definitely was not nearly as good as the Bridge Kingdom series in my opinion, and you could definitely tell it was an earlier work of hers. Then I went on to read Hidden Huntress, which is the second book in that series, the Malediction series. And y'all, this was a DNF. I'm sorry, Danielle. I love you. I love The Bridge Kingdom. I'll read all of your books. I really love, like, y'all, I love The Bridge Kingdom. It's so good. Go read it. Go read it right now. Go read it. But this one, it felt boring. It felt slow. I was just kind of over it. I didn't care about the characters. I literally didn't care what happened to them. And then I just stopped reading it. So after Hidden Huntress, I was in a slight reading slump. No offense, Danielle, I still love you. But then I found Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing changed it. It changed it. Fourth Wing. Wow. Everybody and their mama knows about Fourth Wing right now. It's all over everywhere for a good reason. It was good, y'all. I gave it a 4.5 stars. It wasn't quite 5 stars for me. Something about it, oh my gosh, it kept my attention throughout. The story was just so interesting. It kind of reminded me of back in the day when we were all reading like The Hunger Games and all those kind of dystopians, which is not a dystopian at all. It's a fantasy about like dragons and stuff, but it just gave me those feelings. Like it just reignited something inside me, some love of reading, which I still obviously have had because I love to read anyway. It was so good. I read this on Kindle originally. The physical copy of this book was so hard to find. For months I waited, and I finally got my hands on one. It's not the sprayed edges one. And y'all, when I go back and look at like one of my first videos on this channel, it was freaking in the video. It was in the video. It was right there. It was before it fully blew up and I didn't know about it yet. It was right there. I filmed it and I didn't get it with the edges and everything. And now it's like $400 on eBay. So I'd have this copy and it's fine. It's fine. No, you know what? It's not. No, what? I want that copy. I'm gonna get it one day. The best way I can describe this book is the Hogwarts school part of Harry Potter meets the dragon part of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. It's exactly what it is. And it's so good. It definitely has enemies to lovers. It's a fantasy, romance, romantasy. My absolute favorite parts of this book were the dragon element. There's like parts where they bond with dragons, things like that. I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but there were moments involving the dragons, I literally got chills. And the second volume of this book will not evade me because I have already pre-ordered it and I hope it has the sprayed edges and all. I think it's coming out this fall. Woo, just so soon. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, we're about to rapid fire go through a bunch of books I didn't like that much. Just be prepared. I'm sorry, it's happening. Okay, here we go. So I was going to do a summer reading vlog and I ended up scrapping it because I didn't like any of these books that much at all, but I still have footage from it, so enjoy.
A little nonsense is what I need. Now if you wanna get the best of me, got you smiling, that's for sure. Funny how you had the best of love.
Welcome back. I'm sorry, I'm gonna crush your dreams. No, that's mean. No, it's fine. You can like what you like. I like what I like. Okay, here we go. Okay. Places We Never Been by Casey West. So I also read her other book, Sunkissed, this month. I read that first. I enjoyed it. It was a 3.5 stars, very cute summer camp vibes, but it was like a family camp, which is basically a summer camp. It was cute and I liked it. So I wanted to go ahead and pick up her newest book, thinking I would like that one too. I mean, it's very YA. It's very cutesy. I knew that going in, but I didn't like it. It was like a 2-star. It felt like The Summer I Turned Pretty from Wish.com. And I'm sorry because I liked the other book, but this one, it just didn't hit. I felt bored. There wasn't much of a plot. The parenting decisions were very questionable and I didn't understand it, and I skimmed the ending. It's a beautiful cover though. It's very pretty, very cute. Somebody else can enjoy it because it's going in a little free library, so I hope you love it. This one's going to probably get me comments. I welcome them. The Summer of Broken Rules. Everybody loves this book. Everybody loves this book. I could maybe have seen myself loving this book if I was like 16. As a 26-year-old, I didn't love it. I don't know if it was like my age that had anything to do with it. It just felt way too insta-lovey. The water gun fight thing was cute at first, but then it just kind of went on too long and I kind of got bored of it, and everybody was taking it very, very seriously, and it just kind of felt weird, and like I know it was supposed to be fun, but it just kind of felt weird and I was just kind of bored, and then I ended up skimming to the end too. And I'm sorry, I know a lot of people love this book and I'm really glad if you did. It just really wasn't for me. I like the color scheme though, and it's probably gonna end up being on the thumbnail. Then I had the bright idea to add a thriller into my summer book video, which does not exist anymore because it didn't work out because I didn't like all the books. And I didn't want to make a video where I just complained about every single book I chose for myself during that video. I didn't feel like it'd be very fun, but I wanted to do a thriller. So I picked up the most summariest thriller I saw at Barnes & Noble, My Summer Darlings. It was not darling. It wasn't a DNF because it actually did surprisingly keep my attention throughout. I guess I was just kind of interested to see how these women were ruining their lives, because literally all they did was be bad friends and wives and drink all day and then be so hungover and yet work out. I'm like, how are you working out? They were like running in the neighborhood in full makeup, hungover. I'm like, how? All for this guy who just kind of moved in and is like, they all want to leave their spouse. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to spoil, but this is like literally the whole premise of the book, and it kind of says it on the back. It didn't really become a thriller until the very, very end, like literally the last like 50 pages or so, if not less. So it just kind of felt like I was just reading a book about a bunch of women who weren't that great of people. I mean, it was kind of weird because like I still was kind of interested throughout, but also it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. There wasn't really much of a plot line, and then at the end it just got thrown together so quickly. I was like, what happened? That was kind of weird. 2.5 stars. This is the last low review. Okay, we're almost done with it. Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I made the mistake of not reading the first book, Part of Your World, I think it was called, but I don't think you actually had to read them back to back. Like, I think it was okay. I read the second one. Like, it didn't really mess up anything in terms of the story, but I think I just kind of got spoiled on the first one-ish, but like they weren't like a direct sequel or anything. So this was the first Abby Jimenez book that I read, and I just didn't really like it that much. I ended up DNFing it. I just didn't really find the main character that likable, and the characters just kind of seemed a little immature to me. I did like the anxiety and panic attack commentary. Like, you don't really see that a lot in a book. It felt very realistic in terms of descriptions of panic attacks. I personally struggled with anxiety and panic attacks before, still now. I mean, it's not as bad as it used to be, but there was a scene in the book where the guy who has anxiety, he went into a restaurant and like it was so vividly described, and it was just like, oh my gosh, that's exactly how it feels. So I really did like that part of it, but just the story surrounding it, I just didn't really like it that much. Like the whole fake dating thing, it didn't really seem like it was actually necessary in the grand scheme of things. Fake dating for me can be hit or miss. It depends on the situation. When you have to fake date at the expense of like lying to your close family and friends when you like probably could have just told them the truth in the first place, I just don't really buy it, and it also just kind of feels weird to me. And this was one of them, so it could have just been like a me thing that I'm just not the biggest fan of the trope in that setting. But I like the panic attack part. That sounds funny, but not like that. Next, I read The Heir to the Empire trilogy. I actually did a whole entire reading vlog on this. Go check it out if you want to see that. I actually have like a billion freaking copies of this book. Well, the first one in particular. I have the 20th anniversary edition, these ones, and this is kind of exciting. At Half Price Books, me and Anthony, my husband, we found the original copies. It looks like these were like the original editions. They're a little beat up, but I kind of like it. Like it kind of adds to its charm, I guess. Like it just shows that it was read and loved. I wasn't able to find the second book in the trilogy. We're gonna keep looking, and one day I'm gonna find them. I'm gonna end up keeping the originals just because I really love how they look. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and put these ones, the paperbacks, in a little free library so somebody else can enjoy the entire trilogy, because I don't really need to have all these copies of it. If you don't know what the Heir to the Empire trilogy is, it is pretty much the original Star Wars sequel trilogy. This takes place right after Return of the Jedi. It follows Luke, Han, Leia, Lando, all the original characters, and it was actually written before the prequel trilogy. It was pretty cool to read this. I know at the time these were huge because people didn't really know what happened after Return of the Jedi, and these books explained what happened, although they are no longer canon because Disney bought the rights to Star Wars and they made their own sequel trilogy, which I will not get into now. Seeing all the OG characters, it was a great time. Go check out my reading vlog for a little bit more in-depth of my experience reading them. Can't wait to get the second book in the trilogy to finish my little collection here. After that, I was in the mood for a little fantasy romance, which is probably my favorite genre, honestly. So I picked up The Trial of the Sun Queen, and I really enjoyed it. I gave this one 4 stars. It felt like a combination of all of my favorite fantasy books in one, which sounds bad. It sounds like that would be really weird and just like a copy of everything else, but it actually worked really well. I kind of knew where the book was going throughout, but it also was still unique enough to keep my attention and make me want to keep reading to figure out what was happening. And it sounds like a big contradiction, and I can't explain it, but it was good. I liked it a lot. I had a lot of fun. I definitely recommend this book if you're in the mood for a quick fantasy romance book. This is a good one. Then I went on to read The Rule of the Aurora King, which is the second book in this series. There's a third book on the way. It's not out yet. And I did enjoy this one. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. I gave it a 3 stars, but it was still interesting enough. It kept my attention. I wanted to know what happened. And by the end, it made me want to wait to read the third book when it comes out. So like it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. It just wasn't as good as the first one. And lastly, for all you manga lovers out there, I read Goodbye Eri. This is the fact. I forgot they read the other way. Goodbye Eri. Y'all, 5 stars. Dare I say it? Masterpiece. 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 I said it. It's a masterpiece. It was so good. I can't even believe it. The mangaka, which means the author of the manga, the author and illustrator of the manga in this case, was Tatsuki Fujimoto. He also wrote Chainsaw Man, which is very popular. It's an anime right now. Go watch it if you want. It's a good anime. I like it. I react to it on my other channel with my husband, Anthony. That's where we do all of our show, anime, movie reactions over there. This one was very good. It definitely had a different feel than Chainsaw Man though. I don't even know how to describe it because like you can't really go into detail without spoiling it. It's a standalone manga, so you don't need to commit to an entire series, which sometimes manga can be intimidating because there's like so many volumes. This one, the story is all in this one. I read it in one sitting. I couldn't put it down. It's about a boy whose mom asks him to film her last moments of her life, which sounds weird, I know. It kind of sparks this creativity in him to make him want to become like a filmmaker. If you're a movie lover, this would be a great one for you. The story ends up getting way deeper, way more intricate as it goes throughout. By the ending, I was like mind blown. Almost like genius the way it was written. Throughout, you don't realize what's happening until the end and you're like, whoa, that's what I just read this whole time? I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, 5 stars. I loved it. It's one of my favorite manga I've ever read. Well, thank y'all so much for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments what books you all read this summer. I definitely have some fun video ideas for this channel. Some I am currently filming, so make sure you're subscribed for all of those and check out my Patreon for in-depth book reviews, and I will see you all in the next video. Bam, 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 montage, woohoo. Okay. Can you speak to this? What is your rating of this book, Romo? What would you rate it? Stupid. Do it quick! Oh my gosh, Anthony, do it quick! Go. So stupid. I can't believe I just sat in there with everybody looking at me with a book. Heck yeah. Yeah. I've seen so many people drive very weirdly on the street. Maybe they're scared of the fireworks. Why is that person just pulled over in the middle of the road? They're like, oh my gosh, they're breaking city ordinance. That's gonna be a big one. Wow.
And the rockets
Oh, oh, that was a sleeper agent. You didn't think it was gonna be that big, and it was. What is that, Anthony? I'm dying. That sound. We're in a thriller. We're in a thriller book.